Ever wanted to be a really big robot that's trying to kill other smaller robots that are trying to kill you? Or have you wanted to be a little small robot that's trying to kill a really big robot? My name is Tribal Instincts, and this past week I played the game Mass Exodus with several people from my Discord, as well as the streamer's user ID 10T, and my sister who just started streaming, Faeneth Tuarwen. If you want to see the live gameplay of that, I have a link in the description below, and while you're there, do me a favor and drop her a follow. It was her birthday last week, so if you see her in one of her live streams, tell her happy birthday, tell her that I sent you. She's awesome. So if you watch her live stream, you can tell that we had a lot of fun in the game. Here is my review of it. Mass Exodus is an asymmetrical, local or online multiplayer game for up to 2 to 5 players. By asymmetrical, I mean one player is in VR. You're the big giant robot that's trying to find the other robots that are trying to shut you down and destroy them. If you are not in VR, then you are on your computer, either online just on your own PC, or if you're local, then you can have a standard 4-player split screen, and your job is to walk around without getting noticed and shutting down some gates. And the other players win if you're able to get to all of the gates and shut them down before being spotted. Now, to set the scene for what you're kind of feeling whenever you're playing this, if you're the big robot, you're in a relatively small room with the walls kind of around this high, and each of the levels where people are walking around are about this high, with little people about this big. So everything is really, really tiny for you, and you have to look around all around you. 360 degrees is potentially where these gates are. So you might have one up here, one down here, one down here, and so you have to keep an eye on it. To make things hard, very, very hard, you have hundreds of these little tiny robots walking around that are just AI. They're just mindlessly walking around. So differentiating the AI to the rogue AI, the people that you're playing against, is actually really hard. To stop those little players, you have to pick them up and drop them into something like a meat grinder or a furnace, and you have to destroy them that way. If you pick them up and just drop them in thin air, they'll eventually just respawn where they were. Now, the AI continuously respawns even if you destroy them completely, so you can never get to the point where you've just destroyed everybody, so that makes it really difficult. You have to make sure that you spend your time wisely in putting them in the furnace, because once you've shut that door, it takes a few seconds to respawn, so you can't just spam things in there. So it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be going into it. I figured it was going to be actually really simple to spot the differences. I was totally wrong. The players, they move relatively similar to the way that the AI robots are, as long as they do things correctly. You have to watch for these very subtle differences. As the big giant robot, you have access to 3 different power-ups that you're able to use. Those power-ups help you out. Like there is a shield that just makes it to where nobody can trigger any of the gates instantly. And that has a like 30-second cooldown or something, so it takes a while. You also have a scanner, which is basically just like a game of hotter or colder. The thing turns red whenever you're not near anybody. It's green whenever you're near somebody, so you can quickly move it around and find, oh, there's a player near this area. And hopefully that's enough for you to be able to find one. And then also there is a freeze function, which makes all of the AI robots instantly stop. However, the players, if they're not observant, they might just keep running. So that one is a pretty good one for spotting the careless player. Even with all those tricks, as the giant robot, it is harder than you would think. The players have some pretty powerful power-ups of their own. So as a player, your goal is to blend in. First and foremost, don't draw attention to yourself. You're able to see in your view the big giant robot, which is actually more intimidating than you would think. And also you have a mini map that shows sort of the direction of where the big giant robot is facing at any given time. You're also able to see a map of where the gates are and where some power-ups are. As a player, you don't get your power-ups right off the bat the way that the big giant does. You have to go and find them, and then you just get one random power-up. Now, these power-ups are essential for you to win this game as a player. Once you flip a gate switch, it turns red, and it gets the attention of the big robot. If he sees a guy just around a gate that used to be green and now it's red, you're probably going to end up in the furnace. Those power-ups can help you live through this experience. Power-up number 1, you're able to give a false alarm, so it turns all of the gates red. The player doesn't know what they're doing. It might make them look around. It'll confuse them. Not the strongest power-up, but it's there. The other 2 are, well, if you get one of these, it's pretty much a good idea to save it until the very end of the game, or if you're just about to be picked up yourself. You have one that allows you to turn invisible. Pretty obvious there. You're able to run around. He can't see you at all. Number 2 is you blind him. Pretty much does the exact same thing. Both of those are pretty much instant winners as long as you use them at the right time. All right, so that's what the game is and how you play it. Now, how do I feel about it? Short answer is, I love this game. It is so much fun. The fact that I'm able to play this with my family locally, or jump into VR and then play it against somebody on the other side of the world, or just be on my flat screen and play it against somebody in VR. It is so nice to have those options. Most multiplayer games, You kind of got to know a lot of people that have VR headsets in order to play them. This is much easier though. You don't have to have friends that have VR to play this. You just have to have friends. Playing as a giant is probably the most difficult side of this game right now. It is really hard for you to keep track of everything. Now, once it gets down to one gate, you have some options to kind of make it a little bit easier for you, because you can just like pick things up and move them around. But anyway, it's a little bit harder to play as the robot because the players have two really powerful power-ups. Like I said, the blinding and the invisible one, it pretty much just makes it to where they get the gate, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So at first glance, this game seems almost broken in terms of a balancing perspective, because the players have some power-ups that just make it to where it's almost an instant win for them if they use it at the right time, okay? It takes a little bit of skill and it is random. However, the power-ups seem to come and go. So it seems like there's a balance issue, but the developer has lots and lots of different balance settings. You can make it easier for the person in VR or easier for the people that are playing it. You can change the duration of the power-ups, how many they get. You can make it so that the robot's power-ups are much stronger, so it makes it easier for them to find the players. So there's some balancing that you can do for it. Right off the bat though, it seems like it's in favor of the players, so I recommend just tuning it and having some fun with those settings. Playing as one of the little robots is actually more stressful than I figured it would be. You have this big hulking giant up off around you, and you see him grabbing robots around you. You're like, please don't grab me, please don't grab me. And so it actually does get pretty intense at times, and whenever you get through one of those situations, it feels good. So anyway, it is incredibly fun and at times exhilarating. Huge bonus points because you're able to play it locally. If it weren't for that one element, I wouldn't be able to recommend this as strong. However, any game that I'm able to play with my wife and kids, yes, it gets bonus points by a lot. This is a fantastic party game, and it is a lot of fun online, especially since you don't need other people in VR to play it. Now, that's not to say that this game is perfect. There are some bugs, but most of them aren't enough that it has impacted any of my enjoyment. There's been a few times where we've had to restart the game, but the games are short enough to where that's not that big of a deal, or maybe the game doesn't end whenever you expect it to. Like, you shut down all the gates, and I've had a few times where nothing really happens. But you know you win, and as long as you're playing with people that you know, you're like, okay, hey, players won, restart the game. So there are some bugs, but for the most part, the gameplay itself is very, very solid. To add icing to the cake, this game is actually very, very affordable. For 15 bucks, you get the full title, which has VR and non-VR. You're able to play it locally, online, whatever you want to do. Now, if you don't have a VR headset, you only have to pay half the price, since you can only play half the game, which seems very, very fair to me. So if you have a VR friend and you don't have VR yourself, you can save $6, $7 as it is full price, and right now everything is 50% off, so it is definitely worth picking up. And I'm done here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button below. If you didn't, hit the downvote button and tell me what I can do to make these videos better. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.